Do you have too much month left at the end of your money? Do you spend first, then save what is left after? If there is anything left after. Welcome to the Wisdom Inspired Talks podcast. I am Yomi Akinpelu, your wisdom coach, speaker, teacher, and author. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 4 cornerstones or pillars of wealth. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you find this content useful. And with that said, let's dive right in. Number 1 cornerstone of wealth is giving. Never measure your generosity by what you give, but rather by what you have left, says Fulton Sheen. Giving is the proof that you are not bound by greed and driven by materialism. Giving is the acid test and real proof that you do not have an emotional attachment with money. In Charles Dickens' 1843 classic, A Christmas Carol, the cold-hearted, tight-fisted, penny-pinching, callous and stingy Ebenezer Scrooge is transformed into a benevolent, generous, magnanimous and charitable soul after his encounter with the 3 spirits who show him his past, present and future. It's a terrifying experience for him. It leaves him visibly shaken. Not knowing whether it was a dream or real, he was swift in making amends. Scrooge lives out the rest of his days spending his time and money generously for the good of others. By his generosity, his life was forever transformed from sad, lonely and miserable to joyful and blessed. Giving purges the character from the constricting grip of materialism that destroys lives. Giving destroys the stranglehold of money over our lives and makes God the stronghold of our lives. Generosity is a beautiful quality in people. We love and admire generosity. The Lord loves a cheerful giver, and so does everybody else. John Wesley said, "When I have money, I get rid of it quickly, lest it find a way into my heart." Generosity is the way to break the hold of money in our lives. Francis Bacon said, "Money is like manure. It's not good unless it is spread around." If you see someone donating to charity, be assured that his wealth is increasing. Giving money away makes you feel a better person, which makes you come across as a better person. If you have generosity of spirit to give money away, you also have the courage to seek profit by placing your money at risk. The internal quality that allows you to give money away is exactly the same quality that allows you to invest money in business to make a profit. Investing or giving might be counterintuitive, but it offers the best chance and opportunity of successfully growing your money. Make money flow by giving, and you will inevitably be creating bonds. With bonds in place, more money flows. Like anything else that flows, money requires pipelines. The process of giving creates channels and conduits that remain open and usable even after they have served the purpose of conveying your money to others. Now that the pipelines exist, they are able to be used for cash flow in the reverse direction too. Giving away money keeps your investment muscle fully exercised and ready for opportunity. You have to feel that you deserve good things, or else your subconscious might very well sabotage all your best efforts. If you do not feel you deserve financial success, you have an uphill task. Giving regular gifts to charities, churches, the needy, and family is an excellent way of persuading your subconscious that you indeed deserve to be wealthy. In this way, the subconscious will end its sabotage and even actively assist you in your quest. When God blesses people, some people raise their standard of living, while others raise their standard of giving. Which category do you fall into? Giving creates a window in the spiritual intangible realm. The size of the window determines what comes back to you. Giving destroys the hold of greed and the fear of not having enough. Giving releases the spirit of abundance into your life and helps you develop an abundance mindset. Life gets better when you share, give, and serve. The law of the harvest is that you reap more than you sow. You always reap more than you sow. It is what you give that adds value to your life, not what you receive. A glass that is completely full can take more only if you pour out of it. You grow by pouring out, giving and sharing. Your capacity grows and expands when you share. For example, when you share your knowledge with 10 people, they get to hear it once, but you get to hear it 10 times. And that expands your capacity and increases your depth. When God blesses you with financial resources, whether through a salary, a business, or other means, in it there is always seed and there is always bread. Bread is what you need for the present, and seed is what you need to send to your future. Eat the bread to satisfy your present needs and sow the seed to cater for your future. Don't confuse the two. If you eat your seed, there will be nothing to send to your future. If you sow your bread, you've wasted it and you live a wretched life. The assignment of bread is to meet your current needs, and the assignment of seed that is given is to take care of your future needs. Bread is for today, seed is for tomorrow. Giving changes your life and changes your mindset. You reap what you sow, so sow generously and you will reap generously. So many acts of value over your lifetime, and you'll be amazed at the harvest when you are old. Sow sparingly and you will find yourself impoverished when you meet the Grim Reaper. Number 2 cornerstone and pillar of wealth is financial education. Personal finance and investing are not taught in any effective or consistent way in our schools. That means no one prepares you to manage your own finances, budget, or stay out of debt. Even more importantly, no one introduces you to the wonders of compound growth or compound interest and the importance of time, plenty of time in investing. As a result of this lack of education, most people grow up unaware of how to manage their money. They simply don't understand how to buy a house or buy a car or be responsible with their credit cards or invest in the stock market. None of these things should be a great mystery. In fact, they are simple, and mastering them leaves the individual in control and self-confident. However, without the proper education, they are intimidating, confusing, and downright scary. Because of this, most people simply abdicate responsibility for one of the most important aspects of their lives, their savings. Instead, they hand over their destiny to other people called independent financial advisors. The truth is that the average individual can indeed understand what investing is all about and can make investing decisions for themselves. Mostly, they do not need financial advice. They can learn to select their own investments with a far less specialized knowledge than is generally believed. The mythology fostered in a large part of the financial services industry that they cannot do so is a major contributor to the high level of ignorance and misconception about investing or financial management. Therefore, investing in your own financial literacy is the best investment you can make. It's an investment that is worth tens of thousands or perhaps hundreds of thousands. Not being financially literate or clued up is a money mistake. Investing in your own financial literacy will continue to pay you dividends for the rest of your life and will save you in thousands and thousands in fees charged by independent financial advisors. Your financial education is an investment that cannot be taken away from you. You see, on your journey to wealth or financial independence or whatever your financial goals, you are in a powerful position if you understand your finances. Financial literacy will help you reach and maintain financial independence or wealth. It is so important, it cannot be overemphasized. You need to read financial books, blogs, magazines, listen to financial podcasts, watch educational YouTube videos like this one, attend courses, and learn from the best. Do everything you can to obtain financial education in order to become financially literate. Financial education is a pillar and a cornerstone of building wealth. Financial literacy will help you build wealth and maintain wealth. One of the key ways to build wealth is to invest properly. And if you are not financially literate, when it comes to investing, you will just be throwing money away. For example, you will not be able to appreciate the effect of fees on your investment. You might not be able to invest in a tax-efficient way. And you will not have the confidence to take control of your own financial investment. And you might end up paying thousands to an underperforming fund manager who does not have your financial interest uppermost in his mind. I have made these kind of mistakes before, and I know the value of being financially literate. Being financially literate has saved me tens of thousands, and being a financial illiterate has cost me tens of thousands, or probably more. So read and consume as much financial information as possible, because being financially literate is a foundation that sustains wealth. Whatever you do, get financial wisdom and understanding so you can control your finances and grow and maintain your wealth. Educate yourself to the point where you can confidently take action and take control of your finances. This is a key pillar of wealth. The third pillar of wealth is saving and investing. But in order to be able to save, you have to budget and spend below your means. A budget is simply telling your money where to go every month instead of wondering where it went. A budget gives your money an assignment every month. Your budget gives your money a specific destination or label. If you don't make a budget or a spending plan, then your money will go anywhere and in any direction. And more often than not, it will be gone before the end of the month. It will go on things that are not consequential or important. You won't even be able to remember what you spent it on. But when you make a budget, every item and expense is covered, including paying yourself first. That is, saving and investing and giving. Spending less than you earn is the only way you'll be able to save and invest. And without a budget, you will not be able to spend less than you earn. Spending less than you earn is the only way you can build wealth. No matter how much you earn, if you spend more than you earn, you will never be wealthy. There are people who earn about 100,000 every year, but they owe more than 100,000. One lost paycheck could cripple them economically. One unexpected bill will bankrupt them. By contrast, many millionaires live way below their means because they would rather invest their money in wealth-building vehicles than in depreciating assets. So once you've made a spending plan and you started to live beneath your means, then you can begin to save and invest. When it comes to saving, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving, says Warren Buffett. You must pay yourself first. If you pay yourself first, then you force yourself to get by with what you have left. You pay yourself first by saving and investing. And the best way to save is to put your savings in an account that is not easily accessible. Perhaps an account that will have to give notice before you withdraw. It must be separate from your current account. Better still, set up a standing order from where your income is paid to automatically deduct your savings immediately the income comes into that account. There are two main reasons why you must save: for your expenses and also for your investments. Your expenses can be divided into two parts: expected expenses and unexpected expenses. Expected expenses are things like holidays, house deposit, new car, wedding, new tires, university fees, etc. And unexpected expenses are things like legal fees, job loss, boiler breakdown, new washing machine, etc. There are two ways to pay for foreseeable and unforeseeable expenses: either with money which you can get from your savings or an emergency fund which you have set aside for the purpose, plus an interest accrued, or with money borrowed from a bank, credit card, loan shark, plus the high interest rates these organizations might want to charge you for not having your own savings. It is really easy to save by setting up a standing order or direct debit, which automatically takes money straight out from where your income is paid into a different savings account. Because you don't see this money, you're not likely to miss it much. Spending all the money you earn today without planning to save, invest, and build for the future is like eating uncooked food. It may fill your stomach, but will offer no real lasting satisfaction. When you spend every penny you earn, you squandered your savings, investments, and a potential return on both. True, the money you earn might not be much, and you might think, I can't do much with this. I'll just spend it and start saving when I earn more. Don't fall for that lie. If you can't save when you earn little, you are unlikely to do so when you have more. Those who build great wealth have started with little and built this up over the years. So the next time you're tempted to spend all you earn and to get into more debt, remember that what you are actually doing is trading that designer wear or fancy gizmo, which will be obsolete or out of fashion in a few months, for your freedom, your dreams, and your future wealth. The instant gratification you get from spending money on a shiny car or the latest gadget can never be compared with the joy and pleasure and freedom of seeing your savings or investment grow. The peace of mind that comes with it is priceless. The guaranteed reward you get for saving is the money you've saved plus interest and a measure of freedom. Every time you spend everything you earn, you are shortchanging your future. You must leave many layers and levels below your true net worth. Once you've started to save, then you can begin to invest. The only way money multiplies is through investments. Investment is the acquisition of assets, income-generating assets, and appreciating assets like stocks, shares, properties, and businesses. When it comes to investing, it's not timing the market that works, it is time in the market. Long-term and long-time view is what you have to have. It doesn't matter where you start with investing. What matters is that you start. Because 10 years from now, you wish you had started 10 years ago. Time and the wonders of compounding does wonders for your return. Invest you must. In the short run, stock market is like a casino, but in the long run, it is a cash flow machine. You must invest, but invest only what you can afford to lose. With investment, don't try to beat the market. Invest in stocks and shares that track the whole market, like an index fund. Trying to beat the market or buying and speculating on stocks is like looking for a needle in the haystack. Don't look for the needle in the haystack, just buy the whole haystack, says John Bogle in his little book of investing. When you buy an index-linked fund, for example, the US Total Market Index Fund, you are buying shares from over 3,000 companies in that index, or the S&P 500 Index Fund, which is an index fund that tracks the top 500 companies in the USA. Also, buy and hold the market portfolio forever, because the market always goes up eventually and in the long run based on historical data. The long run might be a very long time, but this is not a problem for those who have the long-term or long view approach. Invest in a passive way and also look for a fund with low expense ratio, and make sure you are using a tax efficient vehicle in investing. I have videos on investing which you'll see in the description below. The fourth pillar and cornerstone of wealth is get rid of debt. A lot of people struggle with debt. Generally speaking, spending more than you earn automatically will create debt, no matter how much you earn. Debt destroys your options, because if you have to spend money servicing debt, and paying interest on debt, then that money will not be available to use on other possible wealth building opportunities. Nevertheless, no matter how bad your debt is, you can get rid of it. It might take time, but you can get rid of it. To get rid of debt, you must first stop adding new debt to your debt. Decide to live well below your means. Develop a spending plan or budget which includes payment of debt. You must not pay the minimum payment because that will take you almost forever to pay off. Pay off your debts first before you start investing. Try to find ways to increase your income. When you have cleared your debts, then you can divert all the money budgeted for debt repayment into your savings account. Debt will delay your dreams or take you in the wrong direction of your dreams. Debt is the number one enemy of progress towards your dreams. And that is because the interest on debt usually exceeds that which you make on your investment. So you don't want compound interest working against you, you want it working for you. To eliminate your debts, list all of them, set goals, work hard, live well beneath your means, and become financially literate. So those are the 4 cornerstones of wealth. Give, be financially educated, save and invest, and get rid of debt. Money is a wealth-making machine. Money is currency. It flows like a current. It flows to where its purpose is understood. Money diminishes when it is idle and when it's not given a task or a mission. Wealth is good. It is only bad when it has no mission. Remember, the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. Money can buy many things, but nothing more than freedom. And that is all for today. Until next time, keep on growing in wisdom and maturity. Blow the cap off your capability. Be unstoppable. Be awesome.